Well, good evening and welcome to the Arbor Hills Nature Preserve in Plano, Texas. Tonight's exercise is a field test of the Wurkkos TD04 flashlight. I want to thank Wurkkos for sending me this light, making the review possible. They contacted me, wanted a field test. Well, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If it is a field test you want, a field test you shall have. So what we have here, I have about average size hands. This is kind of marketed in the large EDC category, 21700 based light, although it just feels lighter than that. Seemingly good construction. I like the knurling. You can see the one-way clip. Here you've probably already been to the website. You know about the two output modes, Group 1, Group 2. Group 1, I believe, is the default out of the box. That's what we're going to look at tonight. The range of output levels is Moonlight, Eco, Low, Medium, High, Turbo, then Beacon, Strobe, SOS. We're just going to look at Eco through Turbo tonight. Tail cap switch, side set, on, off, momentary, and then cycle through output levels here. In Group 1, I believe the cycling goes Eco through high and then double click to turbo from on. The only thing I noticed in preliminary testing on that subject of direct to turbo, and yes, you also have direct to Moonlight, is that from off, you're supposed to double click the tail cap switch. Now, you can click or half press and hold. Half press and hold, there is momentary, then click on, click off. According to the manual, you're supposed to double click to go direct to turbo from off. What I found is that a strict double click is going to turn the light on, turn the light off. What you really need to do is that half press or tap and then do the full click. That will get you where you want to go. I also found this switch to be, I don't know, a bit mushy. I appreciate the texturing, how raised it is. It has a very definitive click, but it's just mushy operation. Quite honestly, I've been using lighting systems professionally since the late 1970s, and out of every light I've ever used that has a tail cap switch, I'd probably put this in the bottom 50%. Take that with a couple grains of salt. That's just my personal observation from preliminary testing. I know you're not here to listen to me. You want to see beam shots. You want to see the field test. You want to let the light speak for itself. All right then. You want it. You got it. At the bridge where I normally do output level test in Eco, edge, start looking over, low, work our way back over the creek, medium. As I look up, I've got a good, I'm going to have to move back over here. There we go, a good 40 plus yards line of sight. High. All right. And double click from on into turbo. First practical test of the evening here at the playground. Lots of light around, but there are enough shadows and dark pockets here that I really need some additional lighting. The scenario here is that your kids were out playing earlier. They dropped something. Now you have to come back and search for it. What is the lowest level of illumination that we can use and still do an effective close proximity search? So there's the TD04 in Eco. And actually, that's a bit better than I would have expected. 5 to 7 yards, even with all the light pollution around, this is doing an acceptable job. Again, this is why I like field testing. I would not have thought I would have gotten as good a result out of this output level. Now, if you try to look across the playground, that's when it all breaks down. So let's go one up into low, out by the swing set. And if I really wanted to scan across the entire playground, then this would get the job done. So if you have to make your way across a groomed path, what's the lowest level that is adequate? Actually, low is doing a much better job than I would have expected. Excellent downrange. I can see the slope of the terrain. I've got more than enough shadowing to see these ridges where I might trip, this dip over here to my left, and I've got just enough side to side that I could catch a little eye shine or something that's just off path. And this would, of course, give you much more run time. So from a path following perspective, this is getting the job done. Again, a bit better than I expected. Let's go one up into medium just to show you the contrast. Medium would be great for very short-term looks, well downrange, off the path. Medium test, looking back across another creek, a good 35, 36 yards line of sight. Then move around to my right, entrance to the outer loop trail. About 20, maybe not quite 20 to the sign. Then continue looking around to the right to where the concrete path curves off to the right. And here is high, looking out to 2 tree lines, getting good visibility to the first, but not to the second. And then, okay, that tree right there, as I start moving out to the left, I'm moving well over 100 yards. This impresses me as perhaps not quite hitting the advertised lumen and candela. I don't know if that's because it's a bright night, which it is, or if it's a driver issue, if it's just a problem with my eyes. And turbo. That gap between the trees, if you get beyond that's about 90, 95 yards. Then there's a tree in the distance at over 175. I can barely even tell that there's a tree out there. Again, this is supposed to be a peak of 3,000 lumens. And for the advertised candela, I would have expected a bit more punch from this. Let me show you the side to side. And I'm just going to let this run for a few minutes. We'll see if we get any appreciable step down. On an administrative note, when you double click into turbo, a single click will take you back to whatever output level you are in. And if you're in that group 1 where the cycle is eco through high, okay, now we're really noticing some step down. So your cycle is eco to high. The light does have memory, so when you turn it back and on, it will be in whatever mode you turned it off before. Well, this is looking like a bit of a steady state, so I'm going to let this go to at least 2. Okay, for comparison purposes, this is 3,000 lumens combined flood and spot from my search and rescue headlamp, and I can see that tree in the distance. So this is full on 3,000 lumens. However, this is less than the advertised candela for the TD04, so I think something may be going on with the specs there. Certainly, I've noticed it in high and turbo. I'll let you make up your own mind. This is 200 lumen flood from my SAR headlamp, which is roughly a steady state for a lot of AA, AAA headlamps. So let's suppose you night hike and you want to use your EDC as a complement to your headlamp. So I kind of suspect there's a tree line out there. Maybe I pick up a hint of eye shine, but my headlamp isn't getting the job done. So let me bring the Wurkkos in here on medium. That just barely does it. 1 up into high is just perfect. So if you're interested in using this as an EDC that's also a complement to a very typical headlamp, there's a test that might be of interest to you. One more time through all the outputs and we'll wrap this up, starting in Eco. Low. Medium. This time of year we're still getting 55 to 60 yards line of sight. High. Double click into turbo, and then let me take that around here. Okay, let's hold that view right there. Give me a second. And that is 3,000 lumen combined flood and spot from my SAR headlamp, just for comparison. Okay, back into high here. I guess whether or not there's something going on at the high end is an interesting academic discussion. It's certainly interesting to me. I think the real question is, does the demonstrated output work for you? That's the one thing about field testing, is that the light ends up speaking for itself. We throw the spec sheet in the trash. If it works for you, the range of outputs works, the UI, the price, there's a match with how you intend to carry and deploy, then maybe you can go from there. If there's something off, particularly in the area of demonstrated performance, then field testing has done its job. My only concern is to make sure that people make informed, careful decisions. I'm just the guy who gets out here and hangs out with the wild animals and runs the test. You're the one with the hard job. You have to make the final decision. And on that happy note, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down for tonight. And as always, until the next review, Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching the video.